Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we're going to continue with our shirim on the Ramchal's Adir BaMarom, which is his commentary on the Ijurabba. And picking up where we left off, we were speaking about the fundamental nature in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals Malchus in this world. Malchus is the edge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's infinitude that can be revealed and grasped by creation, which is the secret of Ein Melech B'lei Am, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to bestow this element of Malchus, which is ultimately the ultimate goodness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can provide to us, for Malchus itself to receive this influx of goodness itself. And we spoke about the process of rectification of Malchus and the two stages of how we prepare ourselves to truly engage and be part of the process of revealing HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shleimus in the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have revealed his Shleimus of the beginning and the end without any duration of a separate point in the middle, wherein there seems to be a lag between the unity of the beginning and the unity of end. The reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a separation, so to speak, at Tzimtzum, in the middle of the beginning and the end, where he separated Bein Hadvekim to create an Emsa, was so that there could be a makom of Bechira, a playing field wherein the human mind, the neshama itself, can rectify and be mashlim itself to reveal the greatest goodness and the greatest unity imaginable, as we said in the name of the Leshem Shbo V'Chaloma. And the Ramchal set us up in line with the understanding of Absag Ma Ben and the four permutations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which are the expression of the worlds of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya, which are the partsufim of Chachma, Bina, Zer Anpin, and Nukva, and our relationship with the partsufim of Zer Anpin and Nukva, the lower spaces of reality, and how there's the Shira, and how concealment emerges into a place of a feminine privation of the Shem Ben, and how our avodah is first and foremost to draw down from the revelation and the fullness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's power through the Shema, through the masculine tendency of fulfillment. And then that's not the only tachlis. The tachlis is not simply to allow Malchus to be fulfilled by the masculine expression of Ma, but rather the tachlis is to be mezachich, the Shem Ben, to be mezachich Malchus, which represents the fallen symptoms of the Shira, to rarefy them and purify them, to reveal that in truth they're rooted in the loftier source of concealment, which is the Shem Sag of Bina, to bring Malchus back up to Bina in the secret of the Yichud of the two Hays, the upper Hay, which is the world of Leah, which is Bina, and the lower Hay, which is the world of Rachel, which is Malchus, which are the secret of Mi im Zois Oile, Mi Zois Oile, Mi is the secret of Bina, and Zois is the secret of Malchus, Mi Zois Oile min Hamidbar, that the Yichud of Malchus in Bina, the elevation of the broken pieces of Malchus and the Shvira in the Shem Havaya of Ben, which is Yud Vav Daled Hey Hey Vav Vav Hey Hey, and raising it back upwards, purifying it, refining and undoing that concealment so that we can bring it back to the place of concealment, which is revelatory, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's expression in the world of Bina, which is the source of Tzimtzum Yud Vav Daled Hey Yud Vav Aleph Vav Hey Yud. And that's the formation place of El Shaddai. That's the place where infinitude undergoes a process of formation prior to actualization, in which the infinite light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu undergoes the deepest process imaginable to our understanding, which is the tzimtzum, which is the application of limits, so that we can partake in it. And the two edges, I'm sorry for the longer review, the two edges or the two stages of the experience of preparing ourselves to be a receptacle of Malchus so that we can receive the influx of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light and be mashlam Hashem's presence in reality by being Megala and revealing the yichud of the Emsa, revealing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is found in the middle as well, even where he appears not to be found, God forbid, and thereby unifying the beginning and the end with newfound power of us doing it ourselves. That comes about by two ways. There's Hakar Sachisaron, which is the aspect of Maya Nukvim, which is the Sur Meirah, which is the rectification of Malchus from below, and then there's going to be the Aseh Tov, which is the Hamshacha of Moichin from above, Hamshachas Hashefa. Like the Ramchal said, there's two things that we need to do in order to allow Malchus to take its full shape and to allow creation to perfect itself with the Koyach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, giving it the strength to think that it's perfecting itself so that we can reveal the deeper unity of the unity coming from this integration itself. And so the Ramchal continues with Shleimus HaNukva, the reality of Malchus and what this perfectibility and the perfection and what we're aiming for within Malchus, what it actually is. Ki be'emes hanukva, and this is on page tes. Ki be'emes hanukva einena asuya ela lekabel min hazachar ulahashpia lahatachtoinim. So in truth, the feminine quality of Malchus, the deficient space wherein HaKadosh Baruch Hu leaves the realm of experience open so that we could be mashlim it ourselves, that space is really only created to receive from the masculine expression of Zer Anpin, which is expressing itself from above down below. Now, typically, the way that we look at Malchus, the deficiency of femininity, the deficiency of this quality of receptivity and modesty, and all of the elements that exist within each and every person, within each and everything in the feminine quality. We're not speaking about a gender; we're speaking about a nature of being, and therefore this quality of nukva always appears that it's mechusar, it's lacking, and it's in need of being filled. It's in need of being fulfilled from something from above it. So there's this hierarchy of above and below. The above, the higher level, is expression, and the lower level is receptivity. And the best hope for reality, the best hope for tikkun, is for the higher level of expressivity to express itself downwards to the lower level of deficiency, and so that deficiency or that feminine quality of nukva and malchus can receive from the zachar and now be satisfied for a little bit more. That keeps the process stuck in the process of zer anpin being much higher than malchus. That zer anpin is always going to be mashpia what malchus needs, and while that is certainly true to a large degree and it will remain true, nevertheless, it's not the ikr nakuda of Malchus. Like we said, the Ikr of Malchus is not to bring it back to the Shem Havaya of Ma, which is the secret of Zer Anpin, which is the Hashpa'a of the Zachar that expresses itself down below to fill the Malchus in its deficiency. But rather, the Tachlis is to go through that process of the fulfillment of the Zachar, of the Ma being Mechuber to the Ben, but then to bring the Ben, which is the broken pieces and the symptoms of concealment, back up to the Shem Sag, which is higher than Ma, which is the secret of Eishos Chayla Taras Baila, which is the secret that ultimately nowadays we perceive the feminine quality of concealment as deficient and lacking in relationship to the masculine quality of expression and expressivity and fulfillment, but nevertheless, that's only an orientation to the limited quality of experience as we see it through exile. And we perceive the proper rectification and redemption going to be the expression of the Shem Havaya Dema, or the Zer Anpin being Mashpia to Malchus. But in truth, the ultimate Zichuch is going to be Megala, that Malchus itself is rooted in Bina, and Bina is in truth higher than Ma, meaning to say the source of concealment is higher than the source of revelation, and the source of the Dinim is higher than the source of the Chasadim. Yes, nevertheless, the Shem Havaya of Ab, which is the Shem Havaya of Chachma, is always going to be higher than the Shem Havaya of Sag. So even though it looks like Eishes Chayla Teres Baila, and that the feminine quality of concealment seems to ascend above the hierarchical limitation of itself and ascends above up to a place higher than masculine expressivity, nevertheless, that's all at the service of the Chachma Amitis, which is the bittul and the recognition that Kedushasi L'malim Kedushasechem, and that everything is always deficient and that everything is only a Malchus. So we are never doing a full overturning of the hierarchy in the sense that Hashpa is never going to be lower than Kabbalah, even though Malchus goes above Hashpa of Zer Anpin and it goes upwards to the source of concealment in Sag. And it appears that there's this transvaluation, and it appears that now the feminine has fully ascended upwards, and concealment is shown to be much higher, and finding Hashem in the struggle, v'chule, 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 is much higher. Nevertheless, we know in truth that all of those levels of gevurus and the sweetening of the dinim, as high as they are, and as halig as they are, and as revealing as they are in terms of understanding the secret of Tzimtzum, nevertheless, the deepest secret of all is that there's a Shem Havaya of Ab that rests higher than the Shem Havaya of Sag, and that Chachma is always higher than Bina, and that even though Malchus, which appears to be lower than Zer Anpin, ascends higher than Zer Anpin and goes back to Bina, revealing that the Nekeva is higher than the Zachar and that concealment is higher than revelation. Nevertheless, that's only Behiskalis, but Bepnimius, and this will always be true because Kedushasi L'malam Kedushasechem, and reality will never be on an equal playing field to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's expression. It will always be in a state of needing and desiring and yearning and emptiness in relation to the upper fullness, because in truth, the Pnimius of Sag is still going to be the Shem Havaya of Ab, which is the secret of Chachma, which is the secret of Bittul, which is the secret that as high as the Teshuka and the Yegia and the yearning of Bina goes, nevertheless, the Bittul and the Menucha of Chachma is always going to outweigh it and always going to be higher. So we see that the tachlis is not just from Malchus to receive from Zer Anpin and to be fulfilled, but rather Zer Anpin plays a fundamental role in revealing the always already wholeness that exists within Malchus itself. Malchus is not deficient. Malchus is a spitz zach of deficiency, meaning to say that the chisaron is the koyach of Malchus. Malchus is not mechusr because it had some original wholeness and therefore it is deficient now, waiting for that new wholeness to arrive again. But rather, the wholeness of Malchus is that it's a chatzi davar, is that that it's leis lemagar meklum, is that it's betachlis habitul. And that revelation of the wholeness of Malchus in and of itself as a receptacle, as a kli, as the Shechina HaKadosha is only revealed through the hashpa'ah of the Shem Havaya of Ma, which is the secret of Zer Anpin and the masculine expression. But that masculine expression is only there to be megala, the inherent capacity of that feminine quality, of that concealment, which is not concealed because it lost something, but concealed because that's the very shape of its expression, a concealment for the sake of revelation itself. And so we're going to see in the Ramchal a language that is profoundly revelatory and profoundly redemptive in the fact that we're no longer looking at Malchus as only something that is receiving from that which is above it and something that works at the service of that which is above it, in spite of the fact that that hierarchical pattern will always operate. But over here, we see the Ramchal is offering a hisnoitzitzos to the secret of Eishes Chayla Teres Paila and Nekeva Toseviv Gever, as man in a perspective of Geula, where the Ramchal and his Chavraya were learning, it was already an aspect of Geula. Mashiach Tzidkenu was already present to a certain degree, and they were able to speak this way. And this was also the concern about the Ramchal from the elders who didn't really understand the light of what the Ramchal was saying and could only understand it after the Maisa, because a light like this can only be hidden and concealed in such a way, like Rabbi Akiva, who lives in that space of shtoik kach ala b'machshava, because it's speaking of such a helig darga. But what the Ramchal is already being meramis to is the fact that, in truth, Malchus is not just something that is deficient waiting for a fulfillment from Zer Anpin. Zer Anpin is Megala, the shlemus that already exists within Malchus. And here's what we're going to see in the language of the Ramchal. This is how we orient ourselves to being in that state of Malchus, because we're the Chalkeh of Malchus, and as long as we're deficient, then Malchus is deficient, and Malchus in its deficiency, prior to understanding its own wholeness, can't be the proper receptacle to reveal the unity that we need to reveal. Because in truth, the feminine quality of Malchus is only made and only prepared as a receptacle to receive from the influx of the masculine form of expression from Zer Anpin that comes from above to below. That it turns out then that what we see, and this is the typical way that we've been talking about Hashpa of Zer Anpin to Malchus, which is not the end of the story, which is that the shlemus of Malchus, the fulfillment of Malchus, comes from what it receives from the masculine expression of Zer Anpin and its expressivity downwards. And this is what's been missing from Malchus, Kol Zman, that she's considered mechuser. It's missing that influx of light from Zer Anpin. Ukishehi shlema nikva ba hashefa. But once this shefa from Zer Anpin comes down into Malchus to illuminate it, that shefa doesn't go back up to Zer Anpin as if it belongs to Zer Anpin and the Malchus is only waiting there to receive it when it deserves it, v'chule, all of those deficient ways of looking at the concept of Malchus. But rather, this shefa that comes from Zer Anpin is the shefa of Malchus itself. It was just borrowed. It was hidden away by Zer Anpin. But now when it comes back down into the skala as a chelek muhusi from the Malchus itself, and Malchus uncovers its inherent wholeness. The kashiyi shlema nikvaba. It's now completely rooted in her. Because even though it appears in the mechanics of the hashpa, of that hierarchical relationship from Zer Anpin down to Malchus, that this shefa is coming from above Malchus and it doesn't belong to Malchus, because it's a light that emerges from the masculine element of Zer Anpin, that's not the truth of the reality. This is in and of itself the fulfillment of the feminine quality itself. And this shefa that comes back down to fulfill Malchus itself, to reveal the fullness of Malchus and to reveal the role of Malchus in Metzius, this is actually a part of Malchus that is now finally re-entering and becoming present in its rightful place. The fact that the Zachar is being mashpia down to Malchus is not that the Zachar is giving of its own. It's not that Zer Anpin is giving of its own and Malchus is receiving what was not hers, but rather that Zer Anpin contained the part of Malchus, Kol Zman, that it wasn't by Malchus itself, and it appeared that it was a part of the Zachar. But when the Zachar is mashpia back down, it becomes revealed that it was part and parcel of Malchus all along, which enables for the process of the zichuch of the ben to be oile to the sag, which is the gilu of Eishes Chayla Taris Baila. In this aspect, when this light returns, which was originally there but hidden to the degree that we forgot that it even existed there on its own, so when that light returns, this is the richness, this is the wealth of Malchus itself. When this light disappears, and when this light is not present as it stands in the state of Gullus, what Malchus appears to be is impoverished and destitute on its own, because all that remains is the irreducible part of itself, the Malchus Shirish of Malchus, now devoid and having lost all of those other essential parts of itself because it appears that they're not her own. But in the future, and now in the state of exile, this fulfillment and the true sparking and the true hitznotztz of the true nature of Malchus and the Shirish of Malchus, Agnuza Baradla, only appears to be taking place from time to time. It is present and then it dissipates, present and then it dissipates, making us assume that this light really belongs to Zer Anpin, and when it chooses to express it downwards, it chooses to express it downwards, but when it doesn't, then Malchus is devoid completely. But in truth, the true expression is that this light of the Zachar is going to be nikva b'kvius, which is the secret of Ateres HaYesod, which is the secret of the Nekuda of this Hashpah that exists within Malchus itself. V'nimsa she'al kol panim, that nevertheless ha'or shelo lo yivra chadash. What this means is that the light of Malchus, when it becomes fulfilled, is not going to be a light that is being recreated as if it never existed before, as if it's something that needed to be received from above. Ela or hashemesh hu shiyeh nisharba, but rather it's the light that existed now within the shemesh that was truly hers to begin with. But in truth, this element of the Zachar that's mushpa now is in truth a chelik of the nukva. So it's receiving as a gift that which was always already hers to begin with. And this is the secret of what Ramchal is going to continue to bring us into, is the light of the tikkun of Malchus itself, the hismoidus with the emsa, with Malchus, which appears to be mechusser, and with Malchus, which appears to be devoid of its fulfillment, by refining it from within that place, from encountering that which appears to be the chitzonius of Malchus, the Sitra Achar, and all of the different forms of concealment that the Ramchal and his Chabura spoke about, the encounter in that place, all for the sake of uncovering the Mesilas Yesharim B'Levavim, through the zichuch of the negativity, through finding the Tainug of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, through the Milchama itself, of looking at the most basic elements of existence and reality, the things that are most certain to us, the most applicable things in our lives, Malchus, reality as it exists, and re-looking at it, learning the true power of Malchus. This is what the Ramchal was hinting to, perhaps, in his Hakdama to Mesil Shisharim, that I'm going to tell you something that is not a chiddush, and it's not something that you don't know already, because Malchus is all that exists. Malchus is all that there is. But nevertheless, hidden within that which always exists is the deepest secret and what a person needs to understand, and all it takes is for us to look again at it. Because in truth, Malchus is the ultimate process of trying to be mashlim, the chisaron itself. And the shleimus ha-chisaron comes about by drawing down that light of the previous wholeness of Malchus, prior to the diminution of the moon, prior to the tzimtzum, and uncovering that hidden light that always already existed within the moon, revealing that movement where the concealment itself is part and parcel of the revelation itself. And Be'ezras Hashem will continue in this Hamshacha. What the Ramchal is going to discuss next, we're only doing a small part today, but what the Ramchal will discuss next is returning back to that svara that he gave before of matzah and mitzvah. We saw that there's matzah, which is the element of an akeva, which is the element of impoverishment, bread of destitution, malchus, dolav aniyah, without the vav, but when the vav of the zachar, when the vav of the zer anpin is mechuber with it, it becomes mitzvah. It becomes the connectivity, it becomes the light. But the Ramchal is going to make a diuk there, that it's not because matzah now is borrowing from the light of the vav, but rather the vav enters into the matzah and reveals itself to have always been part and parcel of the original formation of the matzah itself, which extends into being a matzah, into being a mitzvah, which is mitzvah zois. And the Ramchal says it's still the feminine quality because malchus itself is what's being mushlam. This obviously has profound application to every element of a person's experience when it comes to everything which is malchus, emuna, tefillah, hismoidedus and hayurida, the contemplation of a Kadosh Baruch Hu by way of distance, the mindless moments of a person's experience, mitzvos, maisios, the things that appear to be devoid of the illumination of chachma or zer anpin. Those elements of malchus, what the Ramchal is being masbi here now, is that stop with the game of trying to draw down inspiration from above to fulfill this empty thing, and realize already that this thing that appears to be empty is full in and of itself, and that we have to reorient ourselves to the light that's always already been hidden there, rather than trying to figure out new ways of drawing down artificial forms of light that don't truly belong to it. And Be'ezras Hashem, through this process, we're zeicha, what the Ramchal writes in Tikkunei HaRamchal, in the Tikkunim, what the Ramchal discusses, unlike really any other Machaber, he's revealing secrets in this place in Tikkun Samich, Ches or Samich Tes. He has an element of psichas l'tikkunei hanukva. The Ramchal goes through tikkunim of the nukva itself, not tikkunim of zer anpin, not tikkunim of arach anpin as are described in the Idraba, in the Idrazuta, not simply all of the weapons and the kalim and the tikkunim that we find by the sa'arus of zer anpin, and the dikna and the beard and all of the different hairs and the extensions and all of those processes of diminution of the light so that the light can be revealed. We typically orient those tikkunim to the realm of their anpin, shchayris ka'oriv, the hair that is black as an oriv. But in truth, what the Ramchal is being megala are the tikkunim of Malchus itself, the tachshite Malchus itself, which we tap into when it comes to Shluas with the Chaf Daled Kishute Kala, that we reveal the light of Malchus itself in the secret of Eishes Chayil Taras Paila Be'ezras Hashem.